Michael Jeter won the Tony Award for Best Featured Actor in a Musical in 1990. Some of you remember Michael Jeter from various parts of his career. He was on the long-running sitcom Evening Shade. He was also the brother of Mr. Noodle on Sesame Street. I love that they were the Noodle Brothers. And he was in the musical Grand Hotel on Broadway. And in his acceptance speech, Michael Jeter said this: "If you're out there somewhere tonight and you've got a problem with alcohol or drugs and you can't stop, and you think that life can't change, that dreams can't come true, then I stand here as living proof that you can stop. It changes a little bit, one day at a time," he said, and shaking his Antoinette Perry Award just slightly, his statuette, he continued, "Dreams do come true." That night, June the 3rd, the cast of MAME, playing for the summer at the Fireside Dinner Theater in Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin, sat glued to the television in the living room of the big cast house. Now, those were the days before flat screens, and the TV cannot have been very large. Still, we were young actors with a professional paying gig, and we were thrilled to feel ourselves as a part of the big industry night. We were part of it. I was still 7 years away from sobriety myself. I had lots more research to do in how alcohol could destroy my life and hurt the people that I loved. But to this day, I remember how I felt when I heard Mr. Jeter's speech, how I thought he was talking directly to me, and how there was some hope somewhere. Some of us, if we're lucky and we're open to it and we're willing, may have a moment in our lives when a door opens just enough, when change beckons and we are able to glimpse a different life. Sometimes it's only a feeling. Sometimes the moment is many years long. And sometimes it's just a flash. I hope that it happens for most of us at some point in our career when we recognize that we are ourselves in our own way, that some different life is possible. This month, our theme is living love through the practice of freedom. And today is the start of a 3-Sunday series. And I thought, what all ways do I think about freedom? Another word for freedom is liberation in movement spaces, in social justice movement spaces. And by the way, social justice may be outlawed in the state of Iowa, but not in this congregation. How do we think about justice and freedom and liberation? And I thought first, it's freedom from. For me, justice and spiritual practice are hand in hand. And first, I have to be free from the things that stop me from stepping forward, from being in full relationship. What do I need to be free from to be in full relationship? And then freedom with. To whom are we accountable in our liberation? So next week, even though it will only be June the 8th, I'm going to talk a little bit about the work of the Dismantling Racism team here and our preparations for Juneteenth and the summer film series, for which you are seeing the posters around the building. So next week, more about that. And then on the third Sunday of the month, we'll do flower communion that day, and it's Father's Day. And I'm thinking, what is freedom for? What is it for? What can we do with our freedom and liberation? So that's the plan. Come for all three. Maybe we should have a sticker so you could collect all three stickers, you know, could have a little. What are some of the ways, what are some of the things that you can imagine that we would need to be free from? What do we need to be free from? Just shout them out. Online people, put them in the chat. Prejudice. Fear. Abuse. Shoulds. Greed. Self-doubt. I heard one over here, Stan. Did you say something? Nope, okay.
Online says hate.
Hate. Hunger. What are things of ourselves? These are wonderful things. I'm thinking ego. I'm thinking addiction, shame. Oh, shame is a big one. Guilt. Isolation. The sense that I can't let anybody else see that I am broken and imperfect. I'd better not let anybody else see that. That isolation is a killer. Many religions include practices to get closer to our spiritual home. Here at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, we don't talk a lot about sin, but the actual meaning of sin is missing the mark. So I know some place that I want to go or be, or how I want to be in relationship, and I keep missing that mark. For many people, to get closer to a spiritual home is to come closer to God. I love the old hymn, just a closer walk with thee, granted Jesus is my plea. For some, it's to be more aligned with our values, to help create the world that we envision. For some, it's to be in closer contact with nature, to understand ourselves as a part of the cosmos. And of course, for many of us, it's all three. In 12-step programs, we recite the steps at most of our meetings, and some of us say the third step prayer, which includes this line, the subtitle of the talk, "Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will." Speaking to higher power, relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may be more available to relationship, to love, to service, to community, may be more available. So all of these things that we mentioned, hatred, greed, fear, shame, ego, all of these things that we named are ways that are the bondage of self. Isolation, the bondage of self. They are the things that keep us tight and small. And through practice, spiritual practice, whatever that is for you, whether it's working the 12 steps, or it's gardening, or writing, or folding paper cranes, or singing, or making music, or making art. Or maybe even doing a spreadsheet. I don't know, that could be a spiritual practice for you. Who am I to judge? Cooking, maybe, or helping other people, making sure your hands are there to catch other people. Whatever your spiritual practice is, whatever practice you have, it can become a spiritual practice as we try to align ourselves with our values, with higher power, with nature, to be relieved of the bondage of self. Self, we must have a strong self to live in the world, but it's the balance of it not being too much, the ego being run amok. This week I went to Kansas City to attend the retirement celebration of one of my mentors, Kendall Gibbons. He was a long-time Unitarian Universalist minister, a trailblazer among women in the ministry in our movement. And after 40 years, she retired from All Souls Church in Kansas City. She has spent a lot of time talking about spiritual maturity, and she had a list of characteristics of spiritual maturity: self-awareness, radical acceptance of others, active compassion, and sacrificial love. Self-awareness, radical acceptance of others, active compassion, and sacrificial love. There'd probably be another sermon series with all of those. There's lots to say about them. But I think this first step towards spiritual maturity, self-awareness, is so important here. It's what we gather to do, to see ourselves in each other's faces, to build relationship and care about each other's lives, even those people we've just met. To care about each other, to, as I often say, practice in here what we want the world to be like out there. To be self-aware, and by the way, not to be perfect. My self-awareness is of my own imperfections, my own humanness, my own knowledge that I am going to mess up. Probably have once or twice. My daughter happens to be here today. You can discuss this with her during coffee hour if I've ever called you out there, didn't I, honey? It's not about our perfection. It is about our humanness and our willingness to be vulnerable with each other. I can't do isolation if I'm in congregation. Those two words are antonyms. Isolation, congregate. It is a willingness to be seen by you and a willingness to see you and not demand your perfection. To love you exactly as you are today and allow myself to be loved by you exactly as I am today. That is the healing power of this vast love. That's the freedom that we are seeking. Freedom from my refusal to be a human among human beings, to think I must be perfect before I can be present. No, no. Presence is a practice. Freedom is bound up with all of these: self-awareness and radical acceptance of others and active compassion and sacrificial love. Freedom is bound up with all of this and follows our progression of liberation: freedom from and freedom with and freedom for. The Reverend Tet Gallardo was the president of the UU Church in the Philippines. She served 21 congregations and 4 fellowships in that association during the pandemic. Ben read some of her words earlier. She's an activist who supported more than 40 social justice organizations, both in the United States and in the Philippines. And the full text of this prayer that you read before encompasses, I think, so much of this. It is an openness to ultimate grace, an invitation for grace to be in us. And however you call this, if you're atheist or you're agnostic or you're humanist or you're theist or you're pagan or you're a naturalist, wherever you find yourself among us here, and if, by the way, your theological touch point moves, if it doesn't stay in one place, but it wanders around the map as mine sometimes does, I think this calls us to community together. She prays, ultimate grace, the heart of every matter, in every perfection and imperfection, in all senses and tenses, in moments of every right and wrong, presenting choices and to inquiring hearts. You are in the purpose and the journey of mishaps. You are in the moment of understanding and misunderstanding. We have but to seek you and invoke you and enable the work of your Spirit. A prayer is but an articulated common dream, and we invoke our ultimate concern for the work of faith. We long to be hand in hand, creating a world where everyone belongs. She prays, free us from our hindrances. Make invisible things visible, the voiceless heard. Lay what is hidden before us. Make the chained unbound. The doubting believe. What is confusing, let clarify as hardened hearts grow soft to the touch. May we come in fullness, with gratefulness and faithfulness to one another. May we speak in kind conversing, disclosing our truths with care, expressing our practical wisdom to learn of its practical limits. For the world was not meant to be possessed by a single truth, but to be built together upon revelations. O universe, with stars in your hair. Universe, with stars in your hair. You have shown that great things emerge from humble beginnings, no matter how flawed and lacking. That one story in a stable, in prison, in the cave, in destitution, in abject poverty, if lived in all sincerity, can liberate the darkness from many. May our eyes seek to appreciate, our breaths to dedicate power, our hands to warm each other. When loving fearlessly, we are invincible. When free will is deliberate, we are pivotal. When dreaming together, we are infinite. Dreams do come true. Remind us of the very questions that we have turned away from, that we thought could not be answered and are impossible to realize. Dear universe, dear universal intelligence, dear nature, dear Holy One, dear congregation, dear God, Your embrace contains everything but confines nothing. In the ever insistence of existence, may this one moment of freedom from shame and guilt and fear and hate and greed and hunger and abuse and addiction and depression and anxiety, of fear, may it, this one moment, count. Amen, and blessed be.